So I was talking with some buddies the other day, and we've come to the conclusion that Mattel has absolutely botched the hauler line over the last few years, and really since 2010, when they did a ton of brand new Piston Cup haulers, the truck stop haulers ranging from Oliver Light Load, Ben Crankleshaft, Jerry Recycled Batteries, and then even though they canceled a bunch that year, it was still just absolutely incredible. Since then, man, the hauler line has been a fraction of what it was in 2009 and 2010. And to think that we will probably never get a brand new hauler from Cars 1 is pretty disappointing. Like, that just feels so out of reach at this point. Now, thankfully, we have gotten some new haulers. John Haulstead here included. They have given us some of the next-gen haulers, but man, there's so much potential, guys. Don't you see? There are 36 next gens, 36 of the veterans from Cars 3. That's 72 possible haulers. Oh my God, I need to stop before I get myself too worked up. At least they did do the SynerG Next Gen hauler and the Bumper Save Next Gen hauler, who they love. I mean, they love Bumper Save. They did the Cars 1 hauler. They did the Cars 3 veteran hauler and the Next Gen. And for this episode of Prototype Prestige, which is episode 17, we have a prototype of that semi-cab model. I am pretty sure it would have been for John Haulstead, but it could very easily have been for Lowgear Smythe, who is, yes, the name of the Bumper Save hauler cab here that kind of came out after her first, I guess it's her first initial release, or maybe it's a him, Lowgear, I don't know. Could be either, I guess. But yeah, guys, very excited to get into this episode of Prototype Prestige. There's a lot of lore to cover because a lot of people think that Gale Beaufort, that is the hauler model for every next-gen hauler semi-cab, but it's not. There's actually three, or there would have been three. There is Gale's that I just showed you. There's this one, which it seems like they're using for pretty much all the next-gen haulers they do, even though they've only done two. But there would have been a third had they released the Cruz Ramirez hauler that they now have canceled 2 or 3 times. It's ridiculous. Another reason why the hauler line has been misused as of late. The reason it's different, if you haven't noticed yet, is that the grille, the slats are horizontal instead of vertical. A small difference, but it is a structural difference in the mold that does make it a completely unique model. So maybe they'll actually toss that one in. Maybe it wasn't meant to just be for Cruz's hauler. Maybe, you know, if we get RPM, that'll be the semi-cab model for it. Maybe they'll kind of switch on and off, like, you know, there's 2 different models for the next-gen racers themselves. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if we ever do get another next-gen hauler. But yeah, I just recently acquired this prototype. You guys saw it in one of the previous Giga hauls. I will also be doing a Prototype Prestige episode. This is a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, for later in the season, but there will be a Gale Beaufort episode because I did get a prototype of her as well. So let's just dive right on in here. I don't know why I kind of selected, like, all right, this is the John Haulstead prototype, because it really could be a Lowgear as well. I just feel like the green kind of goes hand in hand, even though we know the colors on the prototype really have no bearing on the final colors at all. I mean, they are 2 completely different shades of green, but yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter. They're the exact same, the same mouth, and even the eyes, even though prototypes don't have eyes. But yeah, you got the vertical slats there on the grill. And of course, this prototype is a little bit beat up, has a few chips, and I love that. Gives it character. Really sleek model. I have to commend Mattel and Disney Pixar. They did a great job with the next-gen semi-cab models here. And we'll get to some of my favorite parts about it. I love the way they did the back here, but it just looks so sleek and modern. And that was their goal. I mean, they had to do something that was equal, that would be in line with the racers themselves, which looks so modern. But yeah, just the lining on it all, you can kind of see how much stenciling almost, I know it's not stenciling, but how much work goes into the die-cast models here. That is a little bit hidden because of all the decals on the final deal here. Like, you could see the lines, but they aren't as profound as when you're just looking at the raw model here. I love this prototype for its neon orange, almost like Nerf gun kind of tires and wheels here with a salmon colored base. Lots of information here on the base. I was very curious to see if The real semi-cabs, the finalized versions that we'll look here in a second, have these double product codes, GGF34 and GGF35. It's almost like they put that maybe just on the prototype for whatever reasons. There are a lot of markings here on the base that I'm a little surprised about for it being a prototype. Usually they don't have all the markings. Also interesting, it does say made in China, which these are not. They are made in Vietnam. But as you can see, it does say both of those product codes. So I was a little bit wrong on that. But that still is interesting to me that there would be two product codes. Maybe there's a good reason for that, but I'm not very familiar with how they do all that. But yeah, as you can see, made in Vietnam. It's got the Vietnam date stamp over here on the left. But all the other texts are exactly the same as on the prototype. None of these haulers were ever made in China. I mean, Gail Bofford, I think was, but that was because she was a lot earlier, and we know that she's a different model anyways. So maybe this was for a canceled semi-cab, or there is a chance that this prototype was just simply made in China, and then they transitioned the production to Vietnam. Really has no bearing. Like, there's a lot of reasons why this could say made in China. It might not even be true. Like, this literally could have been made in Vietnam. It's a prototype, so it does not matter one bit. They could say it was made in New York City for all they care, right? But it does have these openings here for where it would attach to the packaging, which is really cool to see how much, you know, they have to actually work this out for it to be able to be package friendly. But yeah, you got a whole full set of the neon orange tires, looking really cool. You got a lime green plastic hat here. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that that hat, quote unquote, the hat, I don't know why a lot of people, I mean, it looks like a hat, even though it's just kind of how semi-cabs are designed. But yeah, that is a plastic piece. You do have the vents right there, which you could see on the plastic version. This side of the semi-cab's a lot more beat up than the other side, but I don't mind at all. Do not care. Got like a lighter orange piece for where the trailer would connect. It's a nice color green, I will say, though. It's a very vibrant color for sure. But yeah, I love the next gen model because they're like, we're not going to bother with mud flaps. We're going to encase all of the tires with this metal structure here, like a whole metal box that they just put over the tires. It's so weird, and yet it's like boxy, clunky, but it still does look modern, and I do like it a lot. I will say, though, this hole looks a lot more ingrained, a lot more prominent than even the hole on the other side. But yeah, I mean, you can see that this hole, it's barely even a hole. It's more like just a ring. That's definitely a difference. Like, you could see there's a dip down. There's like an indentation on the hole on the real deal, or the finalized version, versus the prototype. Obviously a very minor thing. No one probably cares, but something to discuss in prototype prestige for sure. But yeah, let's do a little comparison with Lowgear now. Even though, like I said, the models are identical in every way, shape, and form, unless something magically pops out here, or maybe I'm completely hallucinating, but pretty sure they are identical. I like both of these haulers a lot, Lowgear and John. I just wish, man, they did more. Like, why stop at 2? You did Gale. Obviously, that's Jackson Storm's hauler. You have to do it. You canceled the Cruise one multiple times. Whatever, doesn't even appear in the movie anyways. You only did 2 of the rest of the fleet of racers. You did a couple of the stock cars as well, fine. But, like, I don't know why you stopped there and just spam us with the re-releases. Like, the last couple years, it's just been a filtration of the same body of haulers. June Faster, John Haulstead, Paulina Fecha. You know, it's just the same ones. And, of course, Mac. And, of course, the Walmart Next Gen, which we have now, which also would be the same model as these ones as well. No need to show that because it is identical. So, and yeah, this couldn't be a prototype for that for sure, because the Walmart Next Gen came after both of these, and we know that this prototype claims to have been made in China, so it was definitely a little while ago. And yes, all right, Marty, the Walmart hauler, was definitely one of the more recent ones. All right, guys. Yeah, this is really cool that I now have a bunch of these prototype next-gen semis, 3 different models, really cool. Another interesting thing about this Cruise one is that she doesn't have a mouth, which I do believe from the stock image that we've seen is true. Or maybe it just wasn't done on the prototype yet. It's interesting since it's bare metal. It's like he's just out here completely naked. Like, what the hell, dude? Put some clothes on, put some paint on, man. But yeah, seeing them like this really accentuates that Gale is a thicker semi-cab model with quite a few differences that we will get to later on in the season. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I really wish I had a prototype trailer to show you. I can only imagine the cool colors that could be on a plastic prototype trailer, but the plastic items don't tend to get prototype that much, or at least leak out. For a lot of reasons, they could get lost much more easily, but I have seen a Miles Axride with microphone, and you know, the microphone actually is part of the prototype. One of my buddies on Instagram, Radiator Springs Rides, has that, and it's just super cool to see how a small plastic piece actually leaked out like that, because you rarely ever see that. Like the Breaker Boggs prototype I don't have the fire barrel that he comes with. Like, that's just how it goes. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you next time for another episode. Bye now.